Shout out to Blue Apron for sponsoring this update. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. See what the fuss is all about and get your first 3 meals free when you visit blueapron.com/theknow. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley. It's Monday, that means it's time for a whole new week of news. Starting with Starfield. You might remember Bethesda unveiled their intriguing new space IP, Starfield, at E3, and the developer is now saying the game might be a cross-generation console game. Studio boss Todd Howard referred to the game at E3 as next gen, and recently Eurogamer asked him for some clarification on that. Howard responded, "That to us means two things. It does mean hardware and it does mean software on our side, and it also means gameplay. What does the next generation of epic single-player RPGs feel like to us?" He added, "What systems we put it out on, what's the hardware requirements, is still to be determined. We're pushing it. We think we're very, very far in the future, so we're building something that will handle next generation hardware. That's what we're building on right now. That's where our mind is, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't exist on the current systems as well." So sounds like this could be one of those games that bridges two different generations of hardware, but of course, we will have to wait and see. And it sounds like we will have to wait a long, long time. The latest Summer Games Done Quick is now history, and the speedrunning event has again been a huge success. Organizers raised more than $2.1 million for the aid group Doctors Without Borders, which is an all-time best for the Summer Games Done Quick event, beating last year's total by about $400,000. That's a huge increase. The 7-day event showed off speedruns of games like Resident Evil 4, Kingdom Hearts 1.5, Half-Life, and there's even a one-handed playthrough of Super Mario Brothers that makes us all look terrible. The next Games Done Quick will be Games Done Quick Express at TwitchCon in October. It looks like the developers behind Left 4 Dead, well, they're hiring staff for a pretty interesting new project. Turtle Rock, the studio that made Evolve and Left 4 Dead, is currently hiring for what it calls an unannounced AAA title. According to a job listing that was found on Reset Era, the studio says it's hiring a senior level designer for an unannounced AAA title in a globally known game franchise. That's intriguing. It's Evolve, isn't it? It's not Evolve. Also mentions competitive FPSs and says that the candidate should have experience working with modern FPS engines, as well as demonstrated experience working on competitive FPSs. So that's all we know now, but you might remember a few years ago, the studio did say they were working on some kind of free-to-play co-op FPS with a strong dark fantasy element to it. Not sure if that is also this project, if that project got scrapped, if they've got multiple teams working on it. Regardless, this is where they're at now. Last year, the media company ZENIMAX won a big copyright infringement judgment in its lawsuit against Oculus Rift, $500 million to be precise. Well, now a judge has, they cut it in half, and also said Oculus doesn't have to stop selling its VR headsets. Bloomberg reports that U.S. District Judge Ed Kincaid upheld the jury's 2017 award of $200 million for breach of contract and $50 million for copyright infringement, but in a victory for Oculus and its owner Facebook, the judge wiped out the other $250 million awarded by jurors, including the damages against Oculus co-founders Brendan Iribe and Palmer Luckey. This all stems from an ongoing war between ZeniMax and Facebook. Well, ZeniMax and Oculus, but Facebook now. ZeniMax claims that Oculus was built using stolen technology and that one of its former employees, John Carmack, helped steal its IP to start Oculus. ZeniMax also asked the judge to block sales of Oculus Rift, but the judge has sided with Oculus in that case, so it remains on sale. We'll see what ZeniMax does next. I get the feeling they won't just let it lie. Could a GameCube Mini be in the works, or something related to GameCube that maybe means that we can get GameCube games back? Really, what I'm just hoping for is more Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, even though I know that that's not technically feasible. Regardless, the site Japanese Nintendo reports Nintendo's applied for a few trademarks related to the GameCube, which it says are related to gaming and not just general merchandise. Nintendo also applied for a variety of other trademarks, including Fire Emblem and one that relates to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. Should be noted that companies do file for stuff like this all the time. Nintendo filed a similar trademark application for Nintendo 64 earlier this year. You should see how many times they filed trademarks for Eternal Darkness, which the last time they did anything with that was like the early aughts. So we'll see. They could be covering their bases and doing nothing with it, but who knows? Maybe they're working on both this elusive GameCube and Nintendo 64 Mini at the same time. Let's get that rumor mill started. Square Enix is working on a new RPG for PlayStation 4 and the Switch. It's being worked on by a division of the company, Business Division 8, which is the studio behind the Secret of Mana remake, as well as the mobile game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. According to a Japanese job listing, the studio is looking for a project assistant for work on an action RPG for PlayStation 4 and Switch, and that's all we know at this point, but definitely worth keeping an eye on, especially if Square is going to be doing more with RPGs and Switch, because that's the thing I want to see. Reviews are in for the open world racer The Crew 2, and so far they're kind of mixed. The PlayStation 4 version of the game has a 69, nice, on Metacritic, while the Xbox One version has a 68, and the PC is lower at 61. Digital Chumps called it a beautiful follow-up to the first writing. It packs a lot of punch inside of it, and it's friendly to all types of gamers. The world is still big, the events are great in number, and it just feels like a fun, simple racing game that you want to play on and off for a long time. Games Radar called it a successful sequel where it counts the most. Only a few potholes slow The Crew 2 down in its drive to become the ultimate road trip. But those reviews don't exactly sound like 60s, do they? No, US Gamer said, it's not a bad game, as I never felt like I was gritting my teeth to play it, but it lacks a strong hook to keep you playing. Without that hook, you spend your time noticing all the small ways that the experience lets you down. That sounds more like a 60-something. The Crew 2 is out now for PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One, though, if you need your racing fix. It looks like the Metroidvania Hollow Knight is doing pretty well on the Switch. They're happy with it. IGN reported the games sold 250,000 copies in its first 2 weeks on the platform, and none other than Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé gave the game a shout-out, saying in an interview with Waypoint that the game is doing exceptionally well. The Tough as Nails game was released back in 2017 for PC and has since been ported to other platforms as well. The Switch version currently has an impressive 90 score on Metacritic, and its developer, Team Cherry, told IGN they're working on a patch to address some bugs in the Switch version. Also, if you want to hear Adam rage about it, he does at some length on the newest episode of Glitch Please. He's playing it, he likes hard games, and it's killing him, so that should tell you something. If you thought it was weird that Paramount was making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie to begin with, hold on to your butts, because it looks like Jim Carrey is going to be joining in on the fun. That's right. Well, Deadline reports that Carrey is deep in negotiations to play the bad guy, Dr. Eggman, in this live-action slash CG animation hybrid, so we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. Robotnik is kind of a weird-looking dude. He's all rotund, got a ridiculous mustache, so it's not out of the question he could be one of the CG characters, but Jim Carrey has been known to get into crazy makeup before. I mean, he completely transformed his look in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and Kick-Ass 2. The deal's not done yet, but seems to be pretty close. Westworld's James Marsden and Ride Along's Tika Sumpter are already in the cast, so interesting mix, to say the least. I can't deny I'm curious what this is gonna be like, but it's a little bit like this, like, maybe? We'll see. Alright, that's the news for this roundup. Let us know what you think of all these updates in the comments down below. To make sure you get all the crazy news from every corner of the internet every weekday, like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to The Know. Thanks to Blue Apron for sponsoring this update. You want to get better at cooking? There's no time like the present. Why put it off? Blue Apron makes it easy. They're the #1 meal kit delivery service in the US, and there's a reason for that. They deliver fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes that are really easy to follow right to your door, and every meal can be cooked in less than 45 minutes. Plus, their menu changes with 12 new recipes every week, so you don't keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. Also, they're flexible. Maybe you're busy one week, you don't want as many meals? That's fine. They've got different plans too. There's 2-person plans, family plans. They just added a wine plan a few months ago because it's like they know me. You know what plan I'm on. I like the Blue Apron as well because I was never much of a cook growing up. I didn't know a lot. I knew spaghetti, basically, but I enjoy the process and I've been trying to improve. So it's been a lot of fun trying all the different things. And now it's summer. That means the perfect opportunity to break out your grilling skills. They've got some awesome options, from honey chipotle glazed chicken with poblano and lime rice to smoky beef burgers and beyond. There's a ton of stuff to try out. If you want to try it, Blue Apron is offering our Know Buddies your first 3 meals for free. Just go to blueapron.com/theknow and it will be applied when you redeem the offer on their site.